episode, we're going to ask Edie Baker questions that have been sent in from some of her fans. Ms. Baker, what book was it that had the house with legs, and why did it have legs?
That book was A Question of Magic. This story is about a girl named Serafina who inherits the job and the responsibility of being Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga is a fairy tale from Eastern Europe and Russia. Baba Yaga was a terrible witch, a horrible person, but the girl in the story, Serafina, is actually very nice. When she inherits the title, she also inherits the house. The house is a small cottage that walks around on chicken legs.
What happens after Question of Magic ends? Will you write a sequel?
I know what happens after. I might write a sequel, but I'm not sure. So we'll see.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, I do. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats. One of the dogs is named Etta, and she was named after the troll dog in Princess Between Worlds. She's a Newfoundland, and they were big dogs that would bark when trolls came around. And she likes to bark when anybody comes around. And the other dog is Summer, who is a yellow lab, and they're both very sweet, although Etta does slobber a lot.
Speaking of the Wide Awake Princess series, are you going to write another Wide Awake Princess book?
It's always a possibility. I don't know. I don't have it on my mental list right now. I generally know about the next 10 books I'm going to write, and that's not on that list, but it's a possibility.
Do you like donuts?
I do like donuts. I don't eat them very much anymore. When I was in college, we used to get up in the middle of the night and go downtown to a store called Spun Nuts, where they would make donuts using potato flour. They were delicious. They were cooking them in the middle of the night, and they were hot out of the oil and wonderful. I doubt very much I'd eat them now, but I really liked them then.
What is your favorite book that you've written so far?
That's a hard question. I have a lot of books that I really, really like, although 2 of my favorites are The Fairy Tale Matchmaker, The Magical Match, and The Frog Princess Returns, which is part of the Tales of the Frog Princess. I wrote The Frog Princess Returns a couple of years ago. It came out on the 15th anniversary of The Frog Princess, and it's about Emma and Edric. It takes place between Once Upon a Curse and No Place for Magic. Fairy Tale Matchmaker, The Magical Match, is the 4th book in the Fairy Tale Matchmaker series, and I had a wonderful time writing some of the scenes in this book, which is why it's one of my favorites. There are a couple weddings, and one of the weddings involves a goblin. So because there are goblins, and it's a traditional goblin wedding, there are some very strange, bizarre things that happen. I think it's a lot of fun. There were some times that might have been scary for a couple of the characters, but they, I think, also thought it was fun when they look back on it. So this is also one of my favorites.
One last question. What is the next book you have coming out, and is it part of a series?
My next book coming out, it's coming out in the beginning of November, is More Than a Princess. And yes, it's part of a series. More Than a Princess is about a princess named Aislinn, who is half fairy and half Padrasi. You won't find the word Padrasi in any dictionary. However, Pedra is the root word for Padrasi, and in a number of languages it means rock. Padrasi are, I made up Padrasi. Padrasi are people who live in the mountains. They draw their strength from the rock around them. And although Aislinn is half fairy and half Padrasi, she tends to be more like the Padrasi.
Well, that's it for questions for today. Thank you for joining us.
Bye. Happy reading.